Okay. So, welcome back, everybody. This is your girl Nachi, and I'm here with.
Damaris, president of the I Hate Cilantro Club.
Oh, don't we know that?
Yes, it's disgusting.
And our very special guest today need no introduction in the world of fashion and design. His work has graced the stages of Broadway, red carpets, reality TV, and beyond. And if you don't know him, then do yourself a favor and Google him. Joining us today is the brilliant costume designer, Emilio Sosa, and our wonderful beloved cousin. Welcome,
Yay.
Emilio. Yay. You like the clap?
Yes, thank you.
Aplauso.
When we were talking about this topic of harnessing your passion, you were the one that came up to us immediately because I think you're probably the only one, if one of the very few people we know that knew what you wanted to do from the very beginning, and you just took that and you've created such a wonderful journey for yourself, taking on your passion. And we're looking forward to this conversation, as you share with our listeners. But for those who live under a rock, why don't you introduce yourself?
Right.
Hello, my name is Emilio Sosa. I am a New York-based costume and fashion designer. I grew up here, and like Nachi and Damaris say, I've always wanted to design since I was a little kid. And I up in valleys, hills, and dips and stumbles, but I always kept the faith that I would be where I am. But I never planned my career. I wasn't at 13 saying, "Oh, I'm going to design on Broadway and be chair of the American Theater Wing." That was so far away from me. I just wanted to draw and design. And the reason I wanted to do that is I had a traumatic childhood, and art became my refuge. It's something that I could do on my own. I didn't need anyone but a pencil and a piece of paper. So that was always very, very intriguing to me. And I just stuck with it. It was like I said, in our family, because, my beloved cousins, uh, you know, I, I'm first generation immigrant. The arts is not something that was naturally in our culture. Yes, we had a lot of music, a lot of dancing, and a lot of expression of joy.
Yes.
But as far as the fine arts and theater, that was not something that I wasn't exposed to, or my immediate family wasn't exposed to. So the fact that I got here is a journey on its own. But I'm so proud of both of y'all, what you're doing. It's amazing. Dominican population is the largest. The New York Dominican population is the largest outside of the island. So
yes.
your perspective is
Okay,
so fresh. There's a lot of us. So your perspective
we
is
ain't
so
going nowhere.
refreshing, so familiar. So when you guys launched last season, I was like, wow, that's so cool. But they haven't asked me. God. And then finally,
I love it.
Listen.
and then I didn't want to be that cousin like, yo, why didn't you ask me on your show? And shit. So I just kept it to myself.
You were like jotting notes, like, okay, right.
I see you.
Oh,
I
they got
see
that
you.
person. Oh, they're talking to that person. What
You
about,
know, okay. And the funny
So
thing is,
that's part of how I handled my career. There's a lot of things that I wanted that I didn't pursue because aside from having this really public career, uh, I dealt with low self-esteem my entire uh, upbringing. It wasn't until recently where I came into myself. And the reason why I went so hard on building a public career is to overcome what I was lacking from inside. So I said to myself, okay, if people focus on the public Emilio, no one would then look at the private kid who's shy and skinny and really doesn't want to talk to anyone. So, so now kind of that I'm at the age that I am, it's kind of like all melting together. I can stand in my truth as far as the man that I am and my career wise. So that's a brief introduction.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, it's
And
a
don't
beautiful
worry, in the show
thing.
notes we'll put like, how people can follow you on Twitter and IG. But you touched upon so many things. For me, I love that you said you didn't know exactly what that endpoint was going to be for you, but you knew what you loved, right? So that's what you poured your energy to.
Totally.
And I think I get caught up in the I need to have a plan. So I'm going
Hmm.
to be X by this date. And so when that doesn't come to fruition, I get frustrated. But that's me not letting it flow, right? That's me trying to control.
Right, you're
And
setting yourself up for
right.
disappointment. Yes.
Absolutely. So how did you know not to do that? Like it sounds like a lot of this was very innate for you. Like when did you even recognize like, okay, art is my outlet?
Uh,
Like
I just recognized it yesterday. No, I knew art was something. Well, the reason I got to art was because of a third grade teacher in the South Bronx in the 70s. And for those who don't know, New York in the 70s had burnt to the ground. The South
Hmm.
mm,
Bronx, where my parents still live, was like the the red zone for urban plight and destruction. But within that,
right.
I found a community that really cared about the people that were there. So while the buildings were burning around us, we still had like little league, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts. We still had those kind of things that made life a little more passable. But in the third grade, I had an incident, and it has shut me down emotionally and psychologically. And I wasn't engaging with the students
Mm.
or the teachers at school. And my third grade teacher, Miss Torres, God bless her wherever she is, uh,
Shout
was
out
trying
to
to
Miss Tor.
shout out to
Okay.
Miss Torres, PS 130, the South Bronx.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, she was trying to figure out why aren't I engaging. So she said, "Well, let me try art," and she gifted me a box of colored pencils and a pad of paper, and
Mm.
that was the very beginning. So I
Wow.
just poured myself into the art. You guys know my dad. My
Mhm.
dad was very like Dominican
Oh,
macho man.
Yes.
You motherfuckers gonna do it my way or the
Yes.
highway. There is
yes.
no there was no
There's no in
leeway.
between. There's no in between.
There was no in between. So I had to figure out how do I survive in that environment and
Hmm.
still do what I wanted to do. Uh, but I never planned to be a costume designer. I started after third grade. I started drawing. Uh, Teachers were interested. I was getting good feedback from it, but I was very shy. I didn't want the attention. I always fought against the attention. That's why it's so ironic that I have such a public career. Because
I
for
know.
me, the attention was the last thing that I wanted. Uh,
Right.
but when I turned 13, uh, I went to the newsstand to buy the newspaper for my dad, and there was a cover of GQ magazine. There was a black male model. And that was the first time I had ever seen a person of color on a fashion magazine. This was 1979 in the Bronx, and I remember it. And I asked my mom for some money to buy the magazine. My mom always found a way to support my art career, even when I didn't know how she did it. She worked in a factory for like almost 30 years, making minimum wage, and my parents raised three kids, and knock on wood, we're like kind of stable adults.
You're all successful in your own rights.
We're all
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
successful in
They
our
realize
own way,
that.
Yes.
you know. But somehow, by hook or by crook, I bought that magazine. That's what got me interested in fashion. And from that point on, from the age of 13 until now, I've been dabbling in fashion one way or another. And then that led me to high school, where once again, my low self esteem did not allow me to test for the High School of Art and Design when I was in the eighth grade. So I went to an academic school at Harvard, but I still wanted to be an artist. So I would take classes on the weekends, and then finally I found a program through the New York State Ed, that I could do my academics at my Harlem school. Then I could do all my artwork at Art and Design. So finally, I made it into Art and Design, and then from there, I went to
Mm.
Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, which is a private. art and engineering school, and I majored in fashion design, and that's how I started my career. And then from there, that led me into theater.
Wow. It's funny. You talk about how you grew up, and not you mentioned this when we were talking about engaging you and bringing you on. And she said, I just always remember how, he was always drawing and doing something and showing us like his
Yes.
fashion designs. But then there's like all these baseball trophies lining up against your
Yes.
wall that you and your mother
Baby,
done. Oh
I
my
was,
goodness.
I think that was the hardest period for me between, I would
I
say,
was gonna say,
11
was
and
you
13, because
coaching?
those were the years where my dad
Yeah,
was
yeah. I
the coach of our.
Oh,
My
I didn't
dad
know he
was the,
taught.
my dad.
yes,
My
yes,
dad was the coach, and
yes.
God, I love my dad because what he did for our family, for his family,
Yes.
is
That gentle
unbelievable.
parenting wasn't it?
But
Yes.
he had, not like today where you talk to your kids nicely. What what are you feeling? It was like, go over there. I was the worst. I sucked. I was horrible. I think at some point, I, they were embarrassed. I was embarrassed for them that I was on the team. Uh, but I always say, because I always
Right.
tell people how bad it
Mhm.
was, because my brother Nick, amazing student, amazing athlete,
Right.
and still to this day. Felipe,
You're like
amazing
shy and
personality, the life of the
reserved.
party, great athlete.
Don't
Me,
bother me.
womp womp.
Snake attitude,
Oh my God. Oh,
introvert.
and I was different. You know what? I can say now that, as a gay black man at 11 and 13, I just knew that there was no
You're
gender
like, what is
label.
this?
Although people, I grew up being called sissy, faggot,
Right.
all of those things are part of my upbringing, because that just happened within the family. Because when you have such a large family, you have the spectrum of people who are supportive to people who are just ignorant and stupid, and
Right.
then the neighborhood at large. But what I say about those 3 years when I was forced to play literally, was it taught me the most valuable lesson that I still use today, is that sometimes you just got to get up, put that damn uniform on, and do your work.
Mm,
And
right.
whatever happens before or after, I can control. But for those 3 hours, I had to do
Mm,
what I had to do, and that's a lot of what I do today. There's sometimes I don't want to get up and go, figure out something
come
for a
on.
show or go to a fitting, But I just put my happy face on, and you get there and you get the job done. And I learned that the hard way, because there were
Right.
days that I would pray for rain, just to,
Right.
just
Right.
so we wouldn't have to play. I would,
Right.
right?
But you were talking about your challenges, and I think that is going to resonate to so many people that, that look like us, right? Representation is everything.
Mhm.
Everything.
And when you see that, you feel better. Like you feel like, oh wow, I can do it too.
No,
Yes, it's a
totally.
possibility. Yep.
But that's always been the course of my career. My career. I mean, I've been working in theater for 36 years,
Hmm.
uh, and it seemed like my career is now like that shit is popping. But that's
Mm.
36 years in the making.
Right,
Right.
And
right.
It was not an overnight success.
I always tell people I'm like the 30-year overnight success. It looks like it's been overnight 30 years. But in those 30 years, I sold shoes. I worked at a spa. I worked at a warehouse. I did whatever I had to do to be
Mm,
able to maintain my artistic career, because that was always my goal. I never got stuck in a position because the money was good or because I was comfortable, because I know that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to design every day, make creative decisions every day, and I did what I had to do to get here. So it brings us back to what we were saying in the beginning, Damaris, when you
mhm,
don't. I mean, as much as we want to plan, we don't have control.
mhm.
All you could do is keep doing what you do at your best, and pray that all the stars line up, and then you'll get your opportunity. You got to be ready. You got to stay
Right.
ready to be ready.
Right. Okay.
You just got to be ready for your shot. It's another, it's like a baseball analogy. I may be
Yeah.
sitting on that
But you're listening. You have good listening skills.
but you're learning.
Right.
You know, at one point I was so bad that my dad made me the assistant coach, so I could just sit there and take the score. I
No,
mean,
you know, I know your teammates looked at you like, why is he on his team? It's just because his dad is the coach. Like
no,
you were
but you know what?
totally
So
nepotism.
this is the sad part. My teammates were like my family, my brothers, my cousins.
Cousins.
So and then oh my god! But you know what? We won every year. We won the championship, so we weren't a winning team. But
Okay.
still, internally, I could just see my dad when I would go up to bat. I could just see the disappointment in his face. I think there's nothing greater
Yeah.
for a
I
kid
know.
to
I know.
see
Yeah.
disappointment in his parents'
Yeah.
face.
Yes. No,
You
you're
know,
absolutely
I,
right.
I grew up with that because I was never
Hmm.
ever think what they imagined a
Mm-hmm.
son to be. You
Right.
know,
You were
but
never going to fit into that mold that, you know, our culture has for our Dominican
yeah,
males and Dominican
totally.
women. Like you weren't going to do that.
You know, my mom's family, it was a more matriarchal. Well, the women ruled
Right.
the roost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, on my dad's side, the men ruled the roost,
Right.
and I was not part of that. Like, I didn't come out the way they wanted me to come out, but I think I came out the way I was
You're
supposed to.
supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I made, you know, like I said, I struggled to be where I am, but I never ever lost faith that I would be where I am because I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I had talent.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's important to share because, like you mentioned, it's like even our parents have a plan for us. We don't like to make the
Hmm.
plan or we shouldn't make the but our parents end up making a plan. I remember when I was trying to apply for college and the type of major. Mom was like, "Yeah, you should go into accounting or actuary." And I'm like, "I don't even like math. Like,
I
why,
know.
why, why do I want to go into that?" But in her head, she's like, "That's where the money is.
Right.
you'll
Totally.
make
Yeah.
you'll make a good living," and that's
Right.
just that's the mentality,
Yeah.
especially when you come from immigrant
First
parents.
gen. Hmm.
Yes,
First
it's like.
generation.
Yep,
Yep.
it's like
Yep.
you need to have a career that's going to bring you good income. And so
Right.
I
Totally.
like the fact that you said, your focus was enjoying and cultivating that joy around your creativity.
Yeah. And
And
then
I think that's so important for people to hear.
because you have to, I've always said because you know, I always get interns and young people early in their career to work with me. I was like, you always have to have a roof over your head.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to, and a place to sleep. That is no matter. You can't be an artist if you don't have that. You can't
Mm-hmm.
create beauty if there's a lot of darkness around you. But you know, but it not. You mentioned your parents, but I must say, your dad, you know, God rest his soul, Franco
Yes.
de los Santos, was
Yes.
he was a light
Mm-hmm.
for
He
this family.
was.
I don't know. I'm sure. I don't know whether I think I've expressed it to you guys
Hmm.
before. But I want the greater audience to really understand
Come
what
on.
what your father meant to our family when he came before you guys were born. But I can you guys were it was before you were born when your father
Yes.
met your mom and came into the family. It
Hmm.
changed the entire dynamic of thought because
Hmm.
your dad has such an interesting talk about interesting
Yes.
journey. And
Yes.
and it fascinated me as a kid how he went to Europe, how he
Mhm.
spoke English, how he was like of the time, and then coming
Hmm.
from the immigrant background that we all were coming from. It was like, whoa, who is
Right.
this?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was one of the only family members who always uplifted me. Didn't matter what, when, or why. He was always, Manito, yes, you can
Yes.
do this. He was always so proud
Yeah.
of everything I did.
Yes.
He would always
Yes.
lift me up. And I remember at times when I wasn't getting that at home,
Hmm.
but your dad or your mom were around, I knew that at least someone would always lift me up. And I mean, I cannot thank him enough. I think one thing that I'm very proud of is that I've always said it to him when he was around. I've always told him how much I love him and how much I
Yeah.
appreciate what he
Yeah.
did for me as an individual, but also, like I said, the light he brought into the family. Because, you know, Franco de los Santos was one of, and
Yes, he
there
was
was,
One of a
definitely.
kind.
Yes,
One
he was
of a
yeah,
definitely a light, even with us. I mean,
yes.
Damaris and I always joke on like he would praise every little thing that we did. We're like, we're
oh,
not doing
Like,
anything, but
okay.
okay.
But that's so important for
Yeah.
kids.
It
Yeah, it
really
is.
is.
Parental support is
It really
it
is.
doesn't matter how many accolades I accomplish now older in my life. It would always take me back to when, and I would say, and like I always say, my father was the most amazing man. But he at one point wouldn't even let me have a sewing machine in the house because that's not what
Of
men
what it
did.
represented.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
That's
it's
not what
exhausting.
men. And
Yeah.
I remember, uh, our auntie Kukuna, Georgina, who I call her,
That's
I
George.
need to remember
I love
Georgina.
her
she
government
was,
name. You gotta stop putting it on blast.
she was a seamstress all
Yeah.
her life. And
Yeah.
aside from making the first thing I ever designed, a blouse for my mom, she made. I remember I got a sewing machine from her one year, like an industrial machine, which they're like big on a table,
Yes.
Hmm.
100 pounds. I dragged that from her house down the street
I know that's right.
on a little
I
cart,
can see you. I
on
can
a little cart. And she lives a block and a half, on the little cart, dragged that motherfucker up the steps
You said I'm
in
gonna use
the
this
elevator
shit.
and put it in the room that I shared with my brothers. My dad came home that night and made such a fuss.
Oh man.
That
Mm.
next fucking morning, my ass had to take that motherfucker
Oh, stop. Oh my gosh.
back to Kukuna's house. He said, nope, nope.
Oh man.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's in a
Yeah.
way it's just like not that he's an ignorant man, but ignorance of you don't. A piece
The,
of machinery does not define who you
right.
are.
Right.
This is
No,
Right.
just a
Right.
spreadsheet.
Right.
This
Yes.
has nothing to do
Yeah.
with me.
no,
But for him, sewing was not a man's thing. Men
right.
don't
Hmm.
sew,
Fashion isn't it? Yeah.
So I always think about
Yeah.
that relation
It's,
to your dad,
yeah.
how complimentary he was to everyone and always uplifting.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
you know, and my dad did so much for me, aside
Right.
from,
That doesn't
but
take away
now
from what he's done.
it doesn't take away what he did as a
Hmm.
man. Like I've never ever had to worry about having a roof over my head, having clothes on my back.
Praise God. Yeah.
I was gonna eat. He always had a car, so my mom wasn't like dragging shit to the laundromat. We always had
Hmm.
a washer and dry. Those things, he was like top notch.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
when it came to the little stuff, the stuff that really makes you who you are as a person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was a little bit more of a struggle for him.
Right.
And I think he understands it now in his older age.
Hmm.
You know, he understands a little bit of it because now the irony is that since Nick is up in New Rochelle and Felipe is down in Florida with Danilo, I am
You're
the
the one. You're the main caregiver. Did you listen to that episode from season one? You're the primary caregiver.
baby.
Look.
And there's some
Look.
where I'm like, Lord Jesus,
Hmm.
help me not to litigate my childhood at this moment.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, just let it go and deal with what is in front of me right
You
now.
gotta gentle parent your own parents.
Yes. Yes. Gentle, conscious caregiving. Like, yes. All the things. Oh my God.
Like my mom said something like crazy. We were watching about some kid in Mexico. She was 12, and and she was like, "Oh my God, 12 is so young." I'm like, looked at her. I'm like,
You're like,
Wait a
you know
minute,
what you
"I
like
will
Nate.
doing
for
as well?
12." And your answers would go to Santo Domingo and
Let
leave
me tell
like
you.
to fend for
My
ourselves in a way, but we had
yes.
other aunts
Okay.
who would take care of us. It's like it's such a disconnect.
I think about just being a latchkey kid at 9 years
Yes.
old, and mommy's always fussing about the kids. I'm like, they're 13 and 15. What are you talking
Right.
about?
Exactly. Oh,
I
They're
was
old
going
compared
home.
to what we were doing.
they just
And
don't. I don't know. If they just don't get. Maybe I don't know if they don't get it, but it's just different. It's
Yes,
different.
very different.
well, I will say that Boppy to the end, even when, when you would invite us to events for your fashion and your shows, he was always so proud taking pictures with
Yes,
everyone. Like, I
yes,
still find pictures,
But
one with him and Spike Lee, and he's like, yeah,
yes,
that's
and he
my
would,
nephew. Like, he adored you, and he
and
was
yes,
so proud
anyone
of
that
how
came to
successful
the
you
house,
are, not even were.
Dynamite.
Yes, yes. So I'm grateful that you brought him up because yes, he's a light that still is still around. So
Right in the family
Yeah,
still. His tentacles are still,
mhm, mhm.
you
absolutely.
know,
Yeah,
vibrant
Absolutely.
no.
throughout all.
And it's good to have that support. And you bring up a good point of sometimes even in your own home where it should be your safe space, it's not necessarily a safe space for you. So it's how do you, you found ways to navigate and find those safe spaces. The fact that you were even able to find a program to add on to your high school experience to get to where you want to go, like that, you just followed your intuition, it sounds like. And on top of that, I think the right people aligned themselves and were put on your path to do that. Um, you know, how do you find that because you've pursued your passion, how does that feed into other parts of your life?
It wrecked my private life.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
Constantly working.
You know what? I, for a long time, I have no idea of balance.
Mm,
Mm,
There was
mhm.
no, because when I went hard, I went hard.
right.
And I would tell anyone that I was involved with, I said, listen, my career comes first.
Mm.
Mm.
And I don't think that's a very inviting way to start
You're
any.
right. Yeah.
It's never
So,
gonna be number
That's
one.
right.
Do you
and
want
not,
to date me?
and not
FYI.
one for a while. But now that I'm at this age, I'm like, oh, maybe, I realized that. And someone said something to me recently. They said, when you're single, you go far fast
Mm.
because
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yes.
nothing holding you back.
Yeah.
But if you're partnered, you rise slowly, but you maintain.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Interesting. Yeah.
it's about balance. So right now, I'm looking for a puppy. That should tell you.
Wait, a puppy on top of taking care of your parents in the Bronx. I don't know if this is what you should really be doing, but go ahead, by all means.
'Cause, yeah.
To love
You
me
have so
when
much
I
extra
come.
time for a puppy. Yeah.
To love me when I come home. I couldn't
Yeah,
another.
you're gonna be real angry from day two.
Right.
Uh,
You like, do you take refunds? Can I give the dog back?
I know, but yeah, I think that was like the greatest sacrifice. But that was a choice
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of friends who are partnered or married and have kids and have very successful, happy careers.
Mm-hmm.
I just made that choice that I wanted to be able to just
Yeah.
run a drop of a dime and fly out if they needed me somewhere and not
Right.
worry. And then it becomes a habit. Then you get used to you create that kind of lifestyle. I'm always overbooked. I always got 3 jobs, 4 jobs
Booked and
happening.
busy.
You know,
That's
so
always good.
I
I
think
mean,
that's
and that's a beautiful
how,
thing to hear.
no,
That's a
totally
that's a, that's a great problem, right?
no, especially after COVID, because when COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I went from making X amount to zero.
Mm.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
zero. So for 2 years, luckily, I had made enough, and I had a good accounting firm that they helped me float those 2 years with PPP loans, all the
Nice.
or like talking about the government. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to tap in
Right.
because being an artist, you also have to be a business person.
Yep.
Yes.
Not just about drawing pretty pictures and la 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 having fun.
And
I
sometimes it's incongruent, right? I know
oh
creative people that really like what business side. It just like does not.
no, I love it. I love seeing that
Go.
my bank account blow up.
Like I like the change that I see in there.
I like it. No, but part of it is it's a business. Like I'm a corporation. I
Mm-hmm.
have to be,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise,
Yep.
how I would have survived
Yeah.
Yep.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
No.
But
This is some advice right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
you're a
I don't think people
corporation.
realize that. Mm-hmm.
You are a brand. I treat myself with the same respect that I would treat clients that would hire me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I think as artists, when we get hired, we will go 120% for the client, but then neglect ourselves in our own house. Because at least for me, in my early part was like self-esteem issues. Like it's also like imposter syndrome.
Mm.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
deserve it. Why am I here? Especially in the theater community, when a lot of times, even today, I may be one or two of the only brown people in a room of 50.
Mm.
Right.
And as chair of the American Theater Wing, I'm in really important meetings, and I'm still maybe one or two of the person of color.
Right.
Three that needs us because their business model cannot sustain itself anymore. The
Right.
class audiences are getting older. They don't want to come to the theater. So you have to try to program and produce things that are going to bring a diverse audience.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're having is they've never had to reach out to that audience. So
So
they
they're like,
don't know
where do we start? How do
where
we
do
do
we
Right.
this?
start. Using a same old, data bank is not going to bring
Ain't gonna
in
work.
Yeah.
color.
You're gonna have to evolve.
You're going to have to evolve, and that's the hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm so excited on the projects that I'm doing for 2024 because they're I call them immersive experiences. So it's putting the theatrical experience to where the people are.
Mm.
No
Love
one
it.
has, no one has 3 hours to sit in a theater and just be told a story.
Mm-hmm.
This you are part of the interaction. You get to drink, you get to party, and you get an experience. And I think that's where the younger people are coming to. So I'm excited that as that whole world evolves, that I'm getting in on it. I mean, I've been around it for a long time, but now I think more people are really tapping into it. As far as instead of you know doing a Broadway show, people are now trying to do experiences where
Right.
you upcharge, you sell them the ticket, then you sell them the drink, then you sell them the merchandise. They
Yes. Do it all.
But
Bring them
yeah,
do it
in.
all.
that's what it is.
So that's exciting for me
Oh,
right
we
now.
look forward to our invite. Thank
Oh,
you.
totally. Yeah, I'm doing. Yeah, totally. One is going to open in the spring of 2024, and then the other one in the summer of 2024.
Okay, well, you have to let us know
Awesome.
because then we'll also be
Yes.
publicizing that. But
Okay.
yeah, no, that's exciting. I love to hear that. Like, you're part of not only are you're working in the space that you enjoy, but you're also now driving, where it can go and being a part of that movement, right? So it's not like you're not just a cog, you're actually a big part of it. And it's nice to have that kind of representation at that level. You'd love
Totally.
to see more, but like we're getting there. Or, we create our own table. I'm big with
Right.
that too.
Yes.
Like,
Totally. I mean,
it's whatever.
when you guys created the podcast, I was like, genius,
Mm-hmm.
genius. This is something that you both can do. You
Hmm.
could do
Right.
it, and your point of view is very unique. It's very New York. It's very versatile. Nachi, you can tackle the parenting side because
Yes.
you're a mom of two almost teenage kids.
Yes.
Have older parents. Damaris, you can tackle the
Yeah,
balance of
yeah,
high powered career versus
Mm-hmm.
your artistic expression. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what people need. Yeah, people just want to see that it can be done.
right,
Yes.
And if they see us, which is what I have to really, really not be so guarded with myself as far as, oh, look what I've accomplished. Let me just keep it to myself.
right.
I have to open it up and show people. Not that I'm showing off, but that
No,
it's possibilities. The possibilities. And
what drives us to do this show is to give people a different perspective, right? And to give people the space to I want ultimately people to be happy about their lives and to want to vibrate higher, to increase their frequency. I say that because this world is constantly it's chaotic, or at least what is always presented to us is chaos, and that is distracting. That's distracting from us pursuing what it is we should be doing as individual human beings. And so it suppresses our natural aura, like, to me, all of that. And that is where, so when you talk about my father's light, we're here talking about this because this is what we saw and what we grew up with. So I understand the power of, you should live your life through your intuition and not be distracted by everything else that's going on outside of you. And this is why we enjoy having guests, and sometimes we just talk amongst ourselves about like things that that impact us. Anything we talk about is like what's happened in some capacity in our lives. And it's like, this is what we did. You don't have to do this, but know that there's other ways to approach a particular problem. Know that there's a solution to do better, to thrive. We're in a space of thriving and joy. I'm not
amen.
here to be, we're not here to be like, oh, let me talk about pop culture or, what's happening in the world today. I can't. You could do that on your own.
Right.
So much of that out there.
Yeah.
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 Yes, and these are conversations that Damaris and I always have, and we just thought, like, you know what? I think other people might want to listen into these
Right. Yeah.
conversations.
Themselves.
Hmm.
It's about representation. You're absolutely right. I think, like I said, I was so proud and so happy when I saw that you guys had this podcast going. I'm like,
I'm so
yes.
touched.
Thank you.
I'm so touched. Thank you, Primo. I love you so much.
Yes.
Likewise.
Now, and so, I wonder, do you ever think about if you didn't pursue your passions, what your life would look like right now?
You know
A
what? I always
baseball coach.
cry, cry, real angry and bitter and shit. Like,
I can't. Oh my God. Not the
bitter.
baseball coach.
I don't know because I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
There was never a plan B because I never had a plan because I'd never been nothing but an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like I said, you know, I think I'm talented enough that I can thrive in any environment you put me in.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I'm happy.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I pursue being happy over thriving in someone else's. I always say to myself also, I said, you know, life is, there's two things in life. You can work on your own dream or you can work on someone else's.
Mm-hmm.
Come on
Yeah.
now. Yes.
Yes.
And there's there's validity in both because not everyone is
Yes.
meant to like be the one and be in. Some people will just thrive at being the help to help someone's
Mm-hmm.
dream, but
Yeah.
that's a choice you make. You can't go into someone's dream wanting it and not, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't be
No.
Yeah.
come into my shit all angry and jealous trying to bring all
Right, because you're mad.
because you're mad at yourself because you're not pursuing your own shit.
Right.
Go pursue your stuff and you will find those people who will support you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a choice, I think, people, which is a hard choice because unfortunately, you know, a lot of young people have kids early. So, you know, once you have a kid,
Oh yeah. Priority shift.
it's life's choices you make, but that doesn't stop you from pursuing your dream. I've always thought that, you know, either you work on your dream or you work on someone else's. When you're working on someone else's, you got to give them 100% of yourself.
Yeah.
That's what you are. And I've done that. I've worked with brilliant people who have become my friends because they've seen that I had my own passion and then pursued my own shit and was successful. But, you know, I work with multi-millionaire people who have created shit, and I was there at the very beginning.
Right.
Slept on the floor for them. I worked 35 extra hours for them because I was learning.
Right. You saw something in there.
You gotta learn. You know, that's from being on the baseball bench.
Those listening skills come in.
Baseball is not gonna die in this family. Good Lord. So Dominican. You're not Dominican if you don't have baseball somehow infiltrating your life. Jesus Christ.
Watch 8 hours of baseball. And like, how could you just sit there and watch?
Even though we didn't play baseball, mommy was obsessed. All the Yankees game.
From our grandmother Rosa, she loved sports.
Yes.
One old
even wrestling.
Oh my God, she loved wrestling. You remember?
Wrestling was a thing.
Roller derby, Los Diablos en Patines. She used to love the roller derby. She loved.
Oh my God, I love her so much.
About her, I love that about our grandma.
Yes. Oh, she's so sweet.
Loved sports.
It's funny though. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just saying I will always remember that about her. She loves sports. And that was rare, you know.
Yeah.
So,
no, and that's why all her girls and her boys, they love watching sports or not engaging in it.
Who has watched sports, you know, but sports, like I said, I mean, I had personal, you know, issues with it in that sense, but it taught me so many lessons about working together, team sports, shutting up when you had to shut up. Like I said, put on the form and shut the fuck up and go in that.
I don't think enough people understand that sometimes. Yes, on teams, it's just like you don't always gotta be in the know with everything. Sometimes just play your motherfucking position.
Okay,
play your part.
Just play. Just play.
That's
and
what
if
you're
you
here
don't
for.
want to, then get the fuck out. Like that's it is simple. Do not
I
do it.
know.
If you feel you got to be CEO level, no, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
No.
We can't
Become your
all
own
be
CEO. Start your
CEOs.
own team.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
I just don't be
Don't.
understanding some people these days that feels that entitled. I'm like, I
I know.
get it. We don't vibe. I'm here to learn, and then once I feel like I'm done learning, I move on.
But you move
Mm-hmm.
on. You
Yeah.
grow.
Yep.
You grow. You know. But also, it's the family.
Yeah,
You know. It's all the family's nucleus. What you put, the environment you put in, because
that's
kids
true.
are kids are born and we create them.
Mm-hmm.
They,
Mhm.
I don't have I've never had, the blessing of being a parent, so I can only speak as an uncle watching my brother raise kids and my cousins and their kids. Is like kids come, they're almost like clay.
Yes.
Parents are the sculptors.
Mm-hmm.
They absorb whatever you have around you. They absorb. That's why it's so important. Positive affirmation.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean yes, yes, yes to everything and no discipline,
Right.
but it means that when they do well, you tell them you love them, give them a hug.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so important. You have to hug your kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, we
Yes.
definitely.
Boys, especially boys. All this shit.
No, yes. Mm-hmm.
Boys don't cry. Don't
Yeah,
be a
no.
sissy. Don't be a girl.
No,
Mm-hmm.
you're telling them not to be a human being.
You're telling them exactly not
And
to
You're
be.
not have
telling them to
any
bottle shit up,
emotions.
and they're
Yep.
gonna explode in other ways. Okay.
You know what? On your daughter, on your granddaughter, on your niece.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's what it is. You're setting up your girls. The way you
Yep.
raise your boys, you're just setting up your girls for heartbreak and
Mm,
Yes.
torture.
mm.
Because it's gonna come around
Yep.
somehow, the manifestation. Like we got not. I never say that I got lucky, but having just brothers is very different from having a sister.
I bet.
Yeah.
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 Because we're raised differently. But
Yes.
Yes,
so the
definitely.
shit that we didn't go through as brothers, my brothers who have daughters is a whole
Oh my
Oh,
different.
I'm
goodness.
Some
sure.
of that goes through. I'm like, Nick, what?
I'm like, Nick, anything you're dealing with, what did you do in your life? Because that is payback. Trauma comes through your daughters. I promise you. I promise
Oh,
you.
A
yes.
daughter will humble a father like nothing
Yes.
else in the world.
Big time.
Because the way you treat the women outside of your life is
Yep.
what they're looking at how men treat women.
Yeah.
And the same
Yeah.
for boys, the way fathers treat their mothers if they're together or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
is
Hmm.
how they treat their partners. So we're
It's
all in
true.
it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. We're all in it, and we all affect each other. So
Right. No, I love it. This has been I love this conversation, and we took it all over the place, but in a good way, because honestly, if you're pursuing your passion, if you're doing what it is that makes you happy, all of these things play a factor into that, right? Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
just-
Absolutely.
I can give you a quick. My story has been written up forever. There's a
yeah.
million articles out there if everyone wants to read how I started, where I went, and what I did. But I think what the most important thing that I would always look back on my career is that I, yes, I started low self esteem, but I always gave myself a chance. You know, it wasn't, I never ever doubted that I could do it.
Right. You
I
I
never
see.
always
gave up hope.
had to
Mm-hmm.
do it, and I would do whatever I had to do what I loved to do. And there's no regret, there's no shame in working, like I said, at McDonald's during the day if
Come
you're
on.
patterns at night for your own collection.
Yep.
That's not a shame. That is drive. That is
Oh,
called drive.
yes.
Because
Yes.
McDonald's is not your end. McDonald's is just a pit stop to get you to your end. And I
Yes.
That's
was always able to do that. You know, I know I give my father a hard time looking back, but also, like I said, he provided a safe space as far as I didn't have to worry about having food, housing, all those
shelter.
things we take for granted. That I know
Mhm.
so many young people who you hear stories of, we would get evicted every week, or
Mm-hmm.
my mom threw me out at
Yeah.
15. I was in the street. I thank God never went through that. So that is huge. My mom somehow always found the way to that I never ever lacked art supplies the same way other kids did.
Right.
You know,
Right.
someone else, if I needed a fucking a big old notepad or something,
Right.
that woman made it possible that I had it.
Love it.
My brothers were supportive in a sense where they never ever said, no, you can't do something. No, they might not have understood who I was at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times, because I was always able to shake off the outside world because I knew what I had was me and I didn't worry about it.
Right.
It's
Right.
harder on your siblings to witness bullying because then they take it on themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little harder for my brother, at least my brother Nick, to shake off the neighborhood being so aggressive on me. Especially since my dad always had us all together at
Right.
all time. So, but you know, he came through it, and we have an amazing relationship. My brother Felipe, he was always like my shadow. I put him through
Yeah.
so
Look
much.
up to you.
Oh my God. He tells me stories like, oh, I read some love letter some dude sent you.
You like mind your business.
I'm like, I didn't,
There.
I didn't even remember shit like
He's like, oh, I saw it.
All up in my business.
He was like Carlos from 73.
That is a younger sibling for
know,
you.
friends, because we go to Central Park every weekend and hang out. So, and then my brother Danilo, my dad's oldest son, we kind of grew up separately, but we have a and there was always a little bit of sadness
Yeah.
in my dad that he didn't have his 4 kids
Right.
together, and that manifested in ways that he wasn't as open with us probably could have wanted to be, but it's been an amazing ride. You know, I get to design Broadway. I work with the top people, but I'm humbled because my parents are still in the South Bronx. So whenever I go home, I still walk by the same elementary school. Pushed on the floor. I remember one time I was, oh my God, I don't know why she put me in a puddle. I don't know.
Okay. She's like, I want you to get wet and
bitch.
dirty. I hate you.
But I will walk by
Little
all to
bitch.
say that I'm still walking by the same elementary school, same junior high school.
Right.
So in essence, I will never ever not be that person because
Right.
I walk by it every day. It's not like I'm living on Park Avenue and never go to the Bronx ever
Right.
again. I am still on that damn street that I had to drag.
Okay. Look, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. The BX will always be in my heart. I may not live there right now, but it's always in my heart. Like, that's just where we grew up. That's where our memories are.
It is home.
Part of who we are, but you know, you got to know who you are so you can figure out where you want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you will always have those memories. You'll never leave you. You just have to figure out how to use them, how to propel you. All that teasing and bullshit just made me want to be even bigger. Because I would say you're gonna want to know. You're gonna be telling people you knew me when.
Oh, you gonna hate it.
Which actually happened.
I'll let you guys. I had this one dude in the neighborhood who would always like faggot. Years later, right? I ran into that mofo bar.
In a bar? In a
gay bar?
Oh my goodness. It's
You like
always
this,
the one.
Wait.
Yes, it's always the one.
Can you believe that he tried to like talk to me? I'm like, what?
Like, hold up. Do you remember?
I'm not even gonna say shit to your ass. And I walked away and I said, you put me through all of that bullshit.
Right.
Projecting. That's what they
That's what usually it is.
Yep.
When the loudest ones are the ones that are just in the closet.
Yeah.
I was like, but I was
mad at themselves.
I could never tell. So I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me, dude. So, you know.
Irony. Yeah, you knew me when.
Okay.
And I'm living this like idiot.
Yeah. I use all of my challenges to propel my career because I was using my career as a shield to hide my true self.
Okay.
You know, the career became the shiny object. On. Focus on that and then don't focus on me and my own. But now as I've gotten older, they kind of like melded together. I can't hide.
You can't hide it, right?
Right.
Because eventually, you know, you got to show who you are, because that's what people connect with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Connect with.
Yes.
Your most
Right.
authentic self.
Most authentic, and I can say within the last 5 years, it's when I've really, maybe because I've gotten so older, I just don't care.
You don't care anymore.
At some point, you're like,
That
who am
could
I
be
doing
it
this
too.
I'm
for?
like, who am I hiding for?
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Who am I trying to protect?
Yeah.
Mhm.
My
Yeah.
family, my brother. Who can?
Right.
Listen, if I'm a black man of a certain age, I'm not married, I don't have kids, disposable income, I dress well.
You're like, what do you think that means?
Hello.
Hello?
Sound the alarm, dummies. Come on. The math is mathing. The math is
Oh.
actually mathing.
And all together, do I, do I,
Oh
why do
no.
I, oh,
You're like, I don't need to spell this out to you. You guys know.
I mean,
I
oh,
love it. No,
Oh
this is, oh
God.
my goodness. I love it. Oh, Emilio, you don't
Yes.
know how happy we are to have you on the show.
Yes.
And
Yes.
actually, you should not be offended that you weren't asked to be on season 1. I think honestly,
no, I was teasing. No,
no,
I was just
no,
so
but
happy for
honestly,
you
it's
guys.
like we were like, let's build up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're a big deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're a big
Please,
deal.
I'm your cousin,
I
not
know.
your 8th grade.
Look, you give them my 8th grade dress, my Sweet 16.
And I'm never gonna forget how she got to go to MC Light video shoots and watch you style MC Light, all that stuff that I didn't get to do. I
Well,
remember.
because you were younger, you were too young at the time.
I know,
Right?
but I still enjoy. Wow, Nachi, shut up.
Always trying. Look, you talking about Felipe being under your shadow. This was under my shadow. It's
I'm
that
just
younger
doing.
sibling.
Emilio did this with her. Okay, noted. But
Oh,
he
but
did take me to Broadway shows, so I'm not even gonna.
Yes.
exactly.
You
Yes.
did take me to shows, so I just want to close out with, again, just thanking you for being on the show and for sharing your story. I think there's so much, everything you said is relatable, regardless of where you are in your life. There, you dropped a ton of nuggets, gems that to me, reminds me of also myself, like, stay on the path. Because I'll tell you this right now, sometimes I'm like, I don't know where this podcast is going, but the things that I'm working on, the podcast is the most fun for me. I enjoy it. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep on trucking. We'll see,
See where it takes you.
And so with what you shared with us today, it just reminds me of like, yes, just relax and just flow. Stop thinking about, like where's the end point with this. And so I thank you for that. And we'll put, how people can follow you on in the show notes. But I can't wait till you share with us the new shows that are coming up for 2024. So excited for you. And you're also multi-nominated, Tony nominated. Like, I don't
Yes.
think people understand
Yes.
who we're talking to. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you right now, I was pissed
Yeah.
that you didn't get
Oh,
the award for the costume design when you were nominated twice. The odds were in your favor, but whatever, we'll move
no,
forward.
they weren't. That's the issue. When you're nominated twice in the same category, you're cannibalizing your audiences because the shows
Mm,
were so different.
right.
You know, one was Ain't No Mo, Lee
Right,
Daniels produced, black, gay, brown, the culture. The
right,
other one was Goodnight Oscar, Sean
right,
Hay, white, established.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the audiences never melded.
Yeah.
So if it would have been two different like categories, musical and play,
right.
but I'm just honored
Yes.
I've been nominated.
Yeah.
I've been,
Well,
yeah.
as someone who's not in it, I could say I was honored that you were nominated, but pissed, and they fucking irritated me. They're whack.
But you
I
know
don't
what?
care. I'm
I'm
gonna say they're
here.
whack.
I run the so
I know you're still fabulous with and without it. So
I'm
whatever.
there. My little speech at the beginning,
Yeah.
but you know what? I used to thrive. That used to be my goal. Okay, I gotta get a Tony. I gotta get a Tony. Got my first nomination, and then it took me 10. Like my first show, then it took me 10 years to get another Broadway show. So
Wow.
that's how this works. My first show was 2002 with Mos Def and Jeffrey Wright, Top
Yeah, I
Dog Underdog.
remember. Yeah.
I didn't get another Broadway show for 10 years.
Wow.
20
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my
Audra
goodness.
McDonald. In those 10 years, because I just had a I just rose to the top.
Mm-hmm.
I took any job that would hire me. I did a lot of regional. So I
Mhm.
worked in California, Seattle, Texas, Chicago, anywhere, just so I can get the experience and get to meet and learn these directors. Because Broadway is a community.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
about people now. It's about everyone wants the hot young person at the beginning, but they have to like you as a person, and I had to
Mm.
learn. I've always said I've always had a big chip on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference now is that my shoulders have gotten bigger. The chin
Okay.
is still there, but now I have the shoulders to support it.
Right.
Right. You're like, it's okay. You're hilarious.
There's nothing wrong with believing in yourself and being cocky, but you also have to have the
Yeah.
resume behind it.
Yes.
Because
That's it.
you will get hired once. The trick is, will they hire you again?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how you make your money in theater. Is you find a director that they create their team,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and as the director's career ascends, they bring their team along.
Right.
Because you want people around you that you like, that you believe in, that you
Yeah.
trust. And that's what I do. I build teams. And most of my people are repeat customers, you know?
Right.
And as their careers go up the ladder,
So do
then my
you. Yeah.
ladder, And early in my career, I also wanted just to do new work. Because new work is, well, you get paid the least, one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's new and it's successful,
Yeah.
you have something in your contract that's called first right of refusal, which means every time they do it, and it's the same production, they have to offer it to you first.
Oh.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Okay.
So, that's another reason why people love doing Broadway so much as a
Yeah.
designer is
Right.
that you get royalties.
Oh
Mm.
my goodness. Yes.
So every time the show plays, every week, you get
Mm-hmm.
a.
I
There
love
you
it.
go.
That's
So
awesome.
those are the business aspects of the theater that I enjoy. You got to be strategic.
Yes.
Got to figure out those things. That's why so very few people do it. That's why they keep it so closed
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
to
Mm-hmm.
their friends and buddies,
Yeah.
because that's how
Right.
you make money. A show runs for 5 years.
That
Imagine
makes
you're
sense.
getting a check
Every
passively
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
every time, and you could be working on multiple shows at the same time,
Right.
and that's so.
I love it. Oh my goodness. You are so like I'm like, let me get some business advice from you. I'm like, we need to talk. Let's have drinks and dinner soon.
No, totally, totally, but definitely.
No, but I do want to do that anyway because we don't see
Thank
each other often.
thank you for allowing me to share my story. And I know we rambled on, but like you said, your passion colors everything you do in life.
Yes.
Yes.
Part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of who you are. It's not. I always say, costume design is not my job. It's my existence. It's who I
Mm.
am.
There you go.
It's part of my life. It colors the people I meet, the relationships I have,
Yep.
the ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the valleys, the peaks, the laughter, the crying. It
Right.
all involves what
All
I
of
do
it.
as a man.
Oh, I love it. Oh, you're the best.
Yes,
Thank you
we
so
so
much for that.
appreciate
I mean,
you.
I want to close out the way we always do. There's a lot of noise out there, but our message is consistent. Stop getting distracted by the smoke and mirrors. Tune out the noise and focus on your purpose in life. What brings you joy in life? We're meant to be joyful, so live that truth and vibrate higher. And always thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.